90s Society, welcome back to the Antisocial Planet, and today we are checking out 17's Maestro, which I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I feel a little bit gaslit by, because within the English-speaking parts of K-pop and reactor space, I haven't watched any of the reactions before anyone assumes anything about me, but I have heard every pronunciation except Maestro. And I say English specifically because I understand that I am also pronouncing it incorrectly because I do not speak Italian. I don't have the correct phonology for that. But when it is borrowed into English, we pronounce it maestro. And I started to question whether or not I actually knew this word, because I was under the impression that it was like a fairly well-known word, like obviously not super high frequency, but I assumed that generally as English speakers, we knew what maestro meant. And now I am questioning that. So please sound off in the comments of reassuring me, because I just assume that I have missed something as a neurodivergent. Did you know what this word was and what it meant before listening to the song? Let me know. I need some kind of reassurance there. But that being said, I am nervous going into this because I know we're dealing with dark teen, which always puts me on edge. And then I've seen the thumbnail. I know that Wonu is in the thumbnail and he's looking like that. So I'm a little bit scared going into that. Also, given the meaning of maestro, which I'm going to assume we all know until further notice, I'm assuming that this is going to be a flex of them saying that they are a master of their craft, right? And leading in that craft, right? Confident 17 is also quite scary. I'm coming off of like the campiness of God of Music, and I just feel like this is going to be a 180 on what 17 can offer us. So that being said, we are going to check out the song first with a lyric video so I can pay attention to the song lyrics and stuff that they have for me. And then we will get into the music video, because I think I will be thoroughly distracted when there are visuals involved. I'm not ready. Also, I can't with this picture set, because why is everyone giving serious model face? And then there's Minghao. Look, he looks great, right? He looks phenomenal. But why does he look like the softest boy here? Out of all of the members, Minghao is the one who looks soft? That doesn't compute in my brain, because he's usually the one giving like very serious, intense face, especially when it comes to like modeling and fashion and stuff. I just find that amusing. Okay, maybe I'm stalling because of what I assume this song is going to be. It's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. Nope, it's not fine. Starting with the keys. Okay, I suffer things. Okay, not you giving us a 17 right here. Stop. Cease and desist. Second, the keys, like this eerie, slightly off-kilter sound to them. Great. Way more minimal than I was expecting, right? Just because maestro as a term usually used in association to like classical music or like opera, things that have like orchestral arrangements. So I wonder how much of that is going to be incorporated. But the bass line in this, I'm for personal reasons. Ooh, okay, literally right after I was expecting something that was maybe leaning into orchestral arrangements, and what are we gonna get in this song because of that? And then having this line of doesn't matter either classical or new thing. I'm not using the slang, okay? I'm white and nerdy, it's fine. I'm just gonna accept that is my place in the world. We take pride in our new combinations, mixing and mashing those two things. And I honestly think that's really interesting, even using the terminology that they are related to like classical music. There's a certain prestige to classical music, or like the term maestro, right? Like even using certain terminology that is associated with like classical music or like formal music training, right, is something that we don't usually associate with pop music, right? Usually those two things are very separate, and there's like a prestige to classical music, and pop music tends to be more disregarded when it comes to music as an art form, right? So I think that it's already interesting to mix those two things together of using terminology from classical music in a pop song. And like I was saying, not what I was expecting instrumental wise, because we are getting these eerie keys, we're getting the synths coming in, we're getting a heavy bass line, and those are all things more associated with pop music, but there's like more intricacies to that. I'm sure that someone who's a classical musician may be able to break that down a little bit more. Again, music theory is not my background. I don't have a super strong like formal education in music. I just have being thrown into performance of music. So I'm sure that there are more intricacies to like the way that they're arranging the song that probably reference like classical music and like arrangements that are commonly found in that. I'm assuming probably as we go along, but this like really bouncy delivery to the lines is so entertaining. Love that we're getting like rap unit mostly coming in too to start off this song. Again, contrast of something like rap music or hip hop background in contrast to something like classical music, and what is the separation of those two kind of art forms. I love the drums and the onomatopoeia. This build up though. Ooh, okay, just stop before we get into that. Again, crazy build up, but like something that's very like pop club EDM in it. Some crazy synths buried in a lot of the production as well. I love that we're getting little like vocal lines stacked on top of each other at little points to just add in emphasis on certain things, bringing in some of the terminology of like classical music training stuff. Again, not my background, so I'm not the person to break down that side of this, but the one part that I've heard is that what follow the maestro's lead line. I think that is the only part that I've heard from this song, but what a line. To be like, after all of this, hey, I know what I'm doing and I'm great at mixing all of these different combinations, and like bringing in the mastery and the education and the like knowledge of music with also understanding of like how more like modern music works, or like what is going to reach people. Because I think that we talk about pop music, we use the term of pop or K-pop, and the reason that we pull that away from something that we might see as like art in regards to music is because it is popular. It is something that speaks to the general populace. At least that is the intent, right? Is to reach the most amount of people possible. And there is like a certain prestige that we see in like art from like a long history of how art has been treated, and something that has been available to the rich as opposed to the general populace. And there's always been this intentional divide between art and people who can create art, right? People who can become masters of their craft are usually people who are either rich themselves or they have a rich person to be a patron for them, right? So there's always been this kind of separation from the general populace, because if you're like most of us having to work to get by in the world, you don't necessarily have the time to do all of that. But that has obviously shifted a lot as accessing art has been a lot easier now. You don't have to go to a gallery to look at famous artworks. You don't have to go to a symphony to hear music. You don't have to go to a theater to see actors performing, right? There's definitely more of a mix between those things than there used to be. And I think that it's cool that they're talking about being masters of mixing those things, and they'll follow the maestro's lead. That's just good. Loving overall sound. Again, like tons of like synth stuff. I'm trying to pull apart the different layers in the production, and my brain just can't quite get all of it. But I love these keys like coming in sporadically in it. The mixing is crazy back and forth. Stop. Don't you growl at me. No. And not if we're talking about changing the rhythm. No. Stop, sir. I was not expecting, again, like a pullback in this, all of that buildup. Again, I was expecting something that felt really like big and almost like cinematic, but I like the control of this, like the intentionality, and also like leaning into pop elements, right? Like again, saying we mix the two things, and even them talk about we go global, right? I think that's such an interesting point too, is that a lot of kind of prestigious stuff in art, right? When we talk about what is real art, which is such a stupid conversation to be having, but like what is art and what is real art and what is worth being seen as like worthy of the title of artwork or art in general, it's usually as a way of excluding people, right? A lot of the time, people who go to things that are seen as prestigious, they don't actually care about it, right? Like how many people go to art galleries or like own famous pieces of art because they actually care about the artwork, and how many of them own it because they like the prestige of owning a famous name, right? As opposed to actually appreciating the art for what it is, or go to kind of fancy events that are performances of some kind. And how many of them are there because they appreciate art and they love it, or are they there because they want to be seen to be there? Right? So I think that there's always this strange mixture of that. And I like the idea of them talking about not only are we really good at music, not only are we like masters of our craft, but we're also really good at making it accessible to people, right? You can be a really good musician, you can be a really good performer, you can be very good at what you're doing in the music field and not need it to be something that excludes people, right? And I think that finding a balance between those two things is something that 17 excels at, is like, how do you add in interesting creative things into your music and your art without excluding people from enjoying that art and taking part in it? So I love that's what they're bringing into it. And even like having the like la la la's as part of the chorus is you can sing along with that. That isn't them excluding people who aren't singers or don't know Korean or whatever from participating in being in this song and this performance with them. So I like that. And it's like never lose the good vibe. Like the idea of, hey, don't lose yourself in trying to almost be like pretentious in art. And the reason for like art and music and stuff, and I think that this kind of harkens back to what they were talking about in 17th Heaven and God of Music, of it is meant to be something that is shared with people and that makes people feel things and makes them feel as if they are not alone in their experiences, right? Like art is about feeling something so strongly that you have to express it in a more complex way. And I've always said that music is the best way of communicating an emotion with someone, because I think that regardless of what language you speak, or regardless of whether or not there are lyrics, or whether or not it is in a genre that you understand the complexity of, I think that we can all listen to a piece of music that is masterfully put together to express a certain emotion or experience and feel that emotion along with the person who created it. And I think that is the beauty of music. And I think that trying to exclude it or gatekeep it from people is against what music and art is supposed to be. It is supposed to be an active expression and like shared experience between humans. So I love that's something that they're incorporating into the song. The percussion is clean though. Ooh. Ooh, they're like, your wish is my command, sir. One is going to be a problem for me in this, isn't he? I was already like, he's going to be a problem because he's one of my biases. And then he was in the thumbnail. I'm like, oh, okay. Oh, we're like singling him out. Okay, sure. If he's being like this, and that like hiccup on the beat too for this, I change the rhythm like this and whatever you want. Sure. I love that. What do you need in this song? The answer is yes. There's some crazy production on this. Ooh. Ooh, Hoshi vocals. Okay, but I love this. I see us finally become one. Like this idea, again, of this like collective, right? Of saying, hey, let's not divide each other. Let's not say who gets to experience art, who gets to be part of that conversation. And instead, let's be as inclusive as possible, right? And again, that kind of separation between like music as an art form and then what we consider pop music being usually very separate things, usually almost seen as opposite ends of the spectrum, right? One very much trying to reach the general population and reach as many people as possible, and the other one usually being like very complex, and there's a certain background that you need, or there's like a feeling of that, right? There's a feeling that you need to be like a member of the club to be allowed to experience like classical music or orchestral music or opera. And a lot of the time you do need like a certain background understanding of like how those art forms work to enjoy them. I feel like a lot of the reasons why people say they don't enjoy those art forms is because there is this, one, pushing people out, right? There's a gatekeeping to it. And two, there's like a certain understanding that you need to have, or like a certain experience with it to fully grasp all of the like nuances and complexities and understand what stories are being communicated. And I love that they're talking about, hey, we can have complex beats and we can have all these intricacies in our music, but ultimately it is meant to be understood and appreciated and inclusive, right? It is supposed to be something that everyone can come together and enjoy and not lose people along the way. Doesn't mean that they don't know their craft. Doesn't mean that they don't understand some of those like more complex things that come along with music theory and like understanding storytelling through music. And they can like use those to their advantage, like a tool that they can use to communicate their message. But ultimately the goal is to have everybody on the same page and communicate what they want in a way that is effective and accessible. So I love that, like, coming into this. Production is wild. This like beat going through and the way that it's like changing pitch. Sungkwan, dang, that vocal, like that vocal run like up, and then he just like the vocal run down. Dang, boy. And he just let that be pushed into the back a little bit as we switch who's singing. Whew, I know he can sing. I get it. I understand that like he's auto-tune is a little bit scared of him, but dang, boy. The percussion on this is wild. That like vocal sample mixing back and forth is crazy. No, so many things. One, Minghao's part with the like onomatopoeias and just like pulling back a bunch of it. And his like vocal tone, that might be my favorite part. That might be my favorite part of this whole song. And then the harmonies between Scoops and Dino. No, you can't do that to me. You can't, no. And then DK coming in with that note. Whew, okay, sure. I understood that given the title of the song, that this was going to be a flex. You could at least give them a little bit of a chance. You could at least leave a little bit of space for others. Dang. The way that they're playing, like, pitching parts of it up and down. I'm sorry, Woozy sir. That upper harmony? Ooh. Overlapping the two parts. Ooh, with the horns. Dang. Okay. No, the percussion, look, the rhythm section on this is wild. And again, like the way that they're playing with, I think it's like the pitching of it. It's almost when you have, I'm going to say this as somebody who does not know music production, so keep that in mind. When you have like a soundboard, like you're mixing, like live mixing something, and you can turn like the dial and it like changes the pitch up and down for it. And it's like they were playing with that even within like parts. Like one person would start singing and it would have one pitch and they would shift it for the next person and then they'd shift it for the next. It would be like every like couple of lines it was shifting around, which I think is so interesting and cool. And it's a very steady beat throughout the whole thing. Having that like little bit of a change just adds some like interest and nuance. There's so many production elements, but there isn't like a whole lot of huge shifts in it. It's just like layering things on top of each other, which I think is interesting, and not like a big band sound in it necessarily. We have like keys, we have the horns at part of it, which again I find fascinating, like pulling back some of the production stuff and not leaning into kind of like the orchestral background of Maestro, but also given the lyrical content seems like a very deliberate choice of being like, let's use a bunch of elements that are found in like pop and EDM and like club dance music and use those elements that are usually like nowhere to be found in classical music or orchestral music and use them in an interesting way and use them to have this conversation of music should be accessible. Music should be something that any person can find enjoyment or at least understand, right? It shouldn't be buried in complexities. It shouldn't be something that is closed off unless you like know the right people or you have the right knowledge. So I think that's such a beautiful message from them. And while also being like a flex of we can do it all. Like we have the skills, we have the knowledge. We're choosing to go down a path in music that allows us to reach the most people and to make our music and our messages and the things that we want to create as easy for people to understand and appreciate and be a part of as possible. Very terrified for this music video though, with that kind of percussion section and stuff. And I know what they're like when they dance. I know what they're like. Very scared, very like on a bit of a like darker tone overall from all of the vibe of it. Yeah, I'm gonna send my prayers now because I'm not gonna be good. So this music video is like a minute longer than the song. What's that about? What's this cyberpunk aesthetic we got going on? I'm in danger, aren't I? I'm just like, I'm shifting uncomfortably in my seat because I have registered that this may be worse than I anticipated and I was already scared. Okay. Okay. Why are we glitching? Again. Ooh, hello, sir. Hi. Mission Maestro. Ooh, I beg your pardon. I beg your pardon. Okay, look, I'm a hip-hop team bias. Hi, hello. Okay, look, Hoshi with this like gray hair and this haircut, we're doing like all black outfits. We're okay. For personal reasons, I'm going back. Who is the real Maestro is what the little banner says. Okay, we have somebody who's suppressing us. No. Oh, Jesus Christ. Hi? I guess because we have unit songs in this comeback. Ooh, they're like hitting the piano keys and then we get like the red and the glass smashing. Okay, so are we getting like a hint that we were going to be getting units maybe in this? Again, I am about a year late to getting to this. I have some knowledge, but sir, I'm fine. Dino, Jesus Christ, sorry. Was he on the piano? No. I was malfunctioning because S-Coops and then Mingyu. Okay, no, this is fine. The like ruined rooftop around him too. No. Ooh, the like robot following the moves? Are we enacting classical artwork now? That's pretty funny actually with the robot. Cool, okay. But also it feels like maybe there's a bit of a suppression of music, which again we had like God of Music, which was a similar vibe. So that's interesting, pulling that forward, that maybe music is not allowed, or like maybe the difference between human created music and not human creative music, given what is going on with AI at the moment. Maybe some of that in here too. This is hilarious. I'm sorry, Mr. Joshua. Looking like that. Science, just give me a second. Okay, yeah, yeah, okay, sure. I just wanted to make sure that I really saw what I was seeing. I want to take in all of the details. I want to make sure I don't lose anything that's maybe important to understanding this. Yeah. I just also want to point out that having the ramps for skateboarding that are also pianos, I think is also an interesting connection, because usually we talk about skateboarding, we're talking about something that is like alternative, right? At least maybe I'm just like flexing the fact that I was born in the 90s, but there's like an underground feeling to a lot of skateboarding, or like the skateboarding culture that is like alternative. It's not scoops, please. I'm trying to explain something important about how I'm interpreting this. It's something that is not seen as like mainstream, or it's not supposed to be mainstream. I know there was like a moment where everyone wanted to be a skateboarder, but the culture around skateboarding is not considered mainstream or like proper, right? Like it's not seen as something that is desirable, right? There's like a negative connotation to people who are part of like the skateboarding scene. And in reality, there's like a wonderful supportive culture with that. Again, maybe I'm dating myself as somebody who was born in the 90s, but there really is like incredibly supportive and empathetic people who happen to also be part of the skateboarding community. So I think that it's interesting to have that with the keyboards. So maybe we are connecting music to being something that is like underground or not necessarily seen as like art, right? If you're talking about somebody who is like a professional skateboarder, I doubt that is going to be seen in the same way as somebody who's like a professional ballerina, maybe, right? Those are like very different things, even though they're both like very like physically taxing. They take a lot of practice. There's lots of like balance and things involved with it. Obviously very different art forms, but I don't think that anyone would on default refer to skateboarding as like an art form, even though there is a ton of technicalities to it and performance to it. So I just think that it's interesting to have those two things crossing over, and that I'm not just fully distracted. I'm sorry, like, sir, who decided on this? Who made that decision? Because I was not given a warning prior to this. Thank you. Ooh, we have like the conductor as well. Sir. Ooh, why are we crashing cars? I'm sorry, I got distracted by the crashing cars and the little like robot dog things, but also Vernon, you also look very good. Hello. With the like beat pad. Don't it's just science, don't worry about it. Sir, that cheeky little smile, like bite lip, no sir, no, I can't keep going back. I'm sorry. I'm gonna try and focus. I am focused, to be honest. I just perhaps am not focused on the correct things. Oh wow, sir. Wow, I was looking at the set, but then I looked at you. I beg your pardon. I beg so many pardons. Hi, hello, how are you? Sure. I have to escape. I have to run away. Yeah, no, I knew I did. I've seen him with the long blonde hair. Like I understood that was going to be part of this. I wasn't prepared. Sure. I also was noticing that we have a lot of like digital things, like CGI effect stuff, things that are not actually there, which I think is also maybe part of the conversation. Again, this difference between like digital and actual like humans, like people who are creating things and creating art versus digital, even having the robots that were like following Scoop's movements, almost like standing in for actual people or performers. Maybe? No. And he's playing like a physical piano? Sir! Wow. I'm sorry, not to like fully get distracted by the fact, oh my god, I need y'all to leave me alone. I need you to leave me alone. But DK, I'm sorry, can we just, yeah. No, he's actually out here looking like that. Okay, noted. Gotcha. Sure. But he's in the like motion capture thing that they do to like make 3D models of people, and then they can use like the way that they're moving to control digital rigs in animation. And we have the robots, which I also think is interesting, like the digital version of like performers or art, perhaps, as opposed to like actual people performing and creating things, which is interesting. Again, in the conversation of like art and AI and the mixing of those two things, I was not expecting that to be part of the visual, given how I was interpreting like the lyrics or whatever, especially since there are a bunch of digital elements in the production of this. I think that it's really interesting to have that mix. Like there's a digital sound, and they talk about like techno at some point in the lyrics, but here's being like, we can utilize tools that are digital based, or I can't look at them. There's nowhere for me to go. Okay. There's nowhere for me to go in this music video and not be distracted, but we can use this as a tool to help in creation, right? There's nothing wrong with using a beat pad, using synths, using MIDI, using like digital mixing production software, right? The problem becomes when we are trying to replace actual art and performers with those tools, right? The human element of how do we use those tools is the part that makes it art, and not algorithmic. Like even here having the robot hand like playing the piano, right? Jesus Christ. Also the choreo. Ooh, the camera movements? No, I need Vernon to I need Vernon to stop. I need him to stop smiling. I need him to stop smirking. I need him to stop whatever is happening without that one body roll dance move thing. No, absolutely not. Okay, the camera movement is cool. We had a little bit of shake on that like stomp on some of the production coming in. No. No. Ooh, the like violin with the lights. Hoshi. No. Okay. I was like, we have the lights on like the violin again, like almost this digital like version, or like adding digital elements into it. I just noticed we got like some kind of like overlord robot as well, and then got distracted by Hoshi because Hoshi, and then Dino, and then I don't have full thoughts. I'm sorry. We will get through this music video. We will. It just might take a few tries. Dino, what are you wearing? No, with that cheeky look, one, what are we wearing? This shirt is more of a suggestion than a shirt. And second, never ever, Dino just smiles and I stop being able to function. He's too charismatic with his facial expressions. I also love that we have these little detail points of red in this music video. Is that like something that I should be fitting into this? No. This particular part of the conversation? Probably not. But I need to say something at least productive, right? Like it is mostly like these desaturated like blues. And then we have these red contrasting complementary colors. It's good. Okay. Is there like a robot controlling him when he's playing the violin? No. No. This choreo too, again, like hitting on those like beats, right? I was talking about how the percussion is so good in this. They're hitting on it. They've got like a little bit of recoil in some of their movements, which I think is cool with the way that the percussion is working. But also if we're bringing in like digital stuff in terms of like robotics and stuff, having a little bit of recoil to those movements feels very much in tune with pantomiming robotics or something that isn't quite human, like having those hard stops, but it's such a hard stop that there's a recoil to that movement in a way that you wouldn't get with something that is very like fluid and lyrical and is more on like the emotive side of performance. No, it's good. It's good. No. Stop. Dino. Ming Hao with the lip break. No, okay. No, I was distracted by Ming Hao. No. Oh, I didn't know we were getting an action, man. I didn't know we were getting... Why is there H2O? I was distracted by this. I was distracted by this piece of artwork right here. I was distracted by Ming Hao. No, remember when I was like, I'm afraid of Wonu specifically in this? Justified. I got like a second in his part. Okay, sure. I'm good. I'm fine. I'm totally cool. I would like to apologize right now for anyone who is, I cannot watch this, you are pausing too much. I get it. I understand. No, valid. Usually that criticism is something that I just shrug off and continue with my life. But no, that is a valid thing. And that's why we listen to the song first and then we watch the music videos, because I would not be hearing any of the song. I'm going to be so honest right now. The song would have slipped right past me. There's no good place for me to rewind. Sir? No. No, I'm just gonna need several moments. I'm gonna watch the whole thing again. I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna let it play. And I just, out of curiosity, that is not the most viewed part. What happens later? Okay. Just know that I will be conducting science on that particular section of the song in my own free time. Because what do you mean he's an action man? What do you mean there's H2O and he's fighting and he's looking angry like that whilst having that like aggressive vocal playing at the same time in that outfit? No, because I was actively trying to avoid anything about this music video. I really was. But that part had better be something that we have a conversation about. That better be something that I find while I am letting myself go a little bit, exploring other people's reactions and conversations about this music video. I need everyone to be on the same page as me with that one. Okay, sure, fine. I keep coming back to that Dino party. It gets me. I'm like... No, I'm so not okay. June? No. Oh my god, in that outfit. Ooh, I love that we have, okay, I love that we have the actual like orchestra set up with like actual performers, and then we have the clip of Hoshi that we had at the beginning where he's like being held, he's being like arrested or something. I love the imagery there of like fighting back. We've gotten a few of that, like even this, June is performing with actual people, and then we see him in like the hallway and there's broken robots around, like he's had a fight as well. So I think that's interesting too, of like when we are incorporating actual performers, actual like artists, real people into the conversation of creating artwork in this kind of dystopian cyberpunk world, it is like breaking the laws or whatever. Even the like silver mark on his nose. Like it's the same outfit too. Oh my god, Sungkwan! I need everybody to leave me alone, okay? I need everyone to just stop. I knew when we were getting into Dark Teen that the visuals were going to be visualing. I understood that was what was gonna happen. Look, Sungkwan in like an all-black outfit. I love an all-black outfit anyway. It's good. Hoshi in an all-black outfit too. But him in this hat? Sir. Okay. I love June's like eye makeup there too. Ooh. No, sir. Love the flash between those 2 points, like the 2 scenes. Again, like the interesting mix of digital, like the robots, but then also like real people and like the artistry there. Like even Sungkwan there sitting on like an actual piano, and that is seen as not allowed. Also the shift of like coloring in some of these scenes. Whoa, that I was like the POV in there, and then I got distracted. Wow, he's really just out here looking like that. That's sure, but I was thinking some of the coloring that we have of like white backgrounds versus like darker backgrounds, almost being in this like liminal space of when they're like performing on like this white platform with these like high like vaulted ceilings, seems more like a theater or a place that you would see like actual live music, which is also interesting to me. Again, trying to have productive actual thoughts about this other than Jesus Christ, why are they all so beautiful? I'm making an attempt. Oh my god, Sungkwan. No. No! Mingyu. No, science. Sir! Never look at me like that. Never look at me like that. Not in that outfit. No, not in the baseball cap and the gloves. Absolutely not. Productive thoughts. Love that we get these points of red when they are like rebelling, right? We had the red like leash when Dino had that one scene, which I didn't really talk about, but him like almost controlling the robots in that case. Again, we have lots of times where the robots are copying the movements of 17, so almost like taking over those. It's almost like hacking the system a little bit. And like I've said before, using digital elements in the production of art is not inherently a bad thing altogether, right? Having someone who is like an actual person, an artist, who is using those tools as a way of creating art is the conversation here. And I know that there's nuance there and there's gray zones to what is and isn't like enough actual human participation in a piece of artwork. But I have a drawing tablet, right? Like I draw more through that medium than like a physical like pencil and paper, but it's used the same way, right? It's just like a digital pencil and paper that is utilizing a digital tool that is like easier to travel with and to have around with me. It makes that art easier than putting a prompt into an AI image generator is that art. The conversation here of how much are we using digital tools to create artwork versus other things. So seeing parts where they are controlling or restraining or defeating these digital elements within this, and then getting these points of red throughout that. We have the red leash, we have the red lights here. We had a red light at the back of one of the performances for the first chorus. We had the red lights on Minghao's violin that he was playing as well. Red in like their clothing, right? Having these points of red in contrast to, again, this kind of like monochrome blue desaturated world around them. What? Sorry. Content will what? Until you slow down. Oh, okay. Content will remain hidden until you slow down. Oh, interesting, because we have the like digital overlay of because they're moving too fast, whatever this, I'm guessing it's like a robot POV. That's a cute little like, that's a cool little mixing. Oh, this choreo. No. Mingyu, sir. Science, don't worry about it. No, I understand why this might be one of the most viewed parts. I love that part of them mixing in the scene of them, like the orchestra, and it's still lined up, that it's like them like flickering in and out of these different like art forms and stuff. So, sorry. Come again. Science. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Sir, you two, both of you, time out. I don't want to talk to you anymore. Oh my, I'm sorry. I'm getting distracted. These outfits are too much for me, okay? I love an all black outfit, but the only way that you can really up the ante with that is if it has like dark red accents. I feel attacked. I feel like this video was like this whole song. DK, what is that face we're making right now? I'm sorry. I feel like this song with the kind of rhythm section, percussion, bass lines that are in it, and also the visuals is a personal attack on me. No, it's okay. It's fine. I'm fine. Everything's fine. June, please. Calm down. No, don't look at me like that, sir. Oh my god. Why do you look like that? What? I am so sorry for this. I am so sorry. I hope that this is something that is entertaining in any way and that you understand that I'm struggling the best that I can. I'm really trying. But they keep hitting me. I'm like, I'm gonna let it play. And then something will happen. I'm like, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. Jesus Christ. I can't. Okay. Yeah, no, this is fine. This is okay. This is fine. We have unit songs for this comeback. Noted. Noted. No, that choreo? Sir. No, I don't know who's breathing at me, but cease right now. Yeah, I was like, that's Mingyu. What? Okay, first I was like, that's Mingyu. Don't need him breathing at me at any point. No, absolutely not. It looks like a combat outfit. And wasn't that what the robot people were wearing? Or the people who were like arresting Hoshi? And then why do we have the ominous music? Who was in the scene with him? Not behind the curtains. I love that we drew the curtains though to like stop things. He looks a tad worried. Is that Minghao? Oh my god. Okay. Hello, sir. Hi. Hi. You look great. Wow. Why are we picking possibly a fight with Mingyu? We have the other members here. Why are we singling out Mingyu with the scary strings? The intense strings. Why does he look a little bit worried? My god. You already had my favorite part, but like you didn't have to look like that. Look. I'm trying so hard. I really am. I am. But how am I supposed to focus? Okay. Minghao already has my favorite part in the song. Okay, that's my favorite part. Looking like that in that like uniform outfit. Yeah, no, great. Very good. Whoever did his like eye makeup, you need a raise. Thank you for your service. Do we have like sheet music? Why do you look worried? Why are you separated? And like the two spotlights. Ooh. Okay, I was gonna say, oh, we're going out into the light there with the like swinging camera. Jesus Christ. I think it's interesting we had the spinning camera again like we had in the Super performance. That's interesting. That's cool. Do I have thoughts anymore besides just struggling? I don't know if I do. I've been procrastinating with this because I was like, this one. Okay. I also noticed that I'm wearing a dark red in this. I matched unintentionally. Okay. Sure. Fine. It's a cool shot through the paper. Oh my god, footwork. With the like hands in the pockets? That's insanity. The footwork, hands in the pocket. No, you can't be casual doing that kind of footwork. Second, you do not need to kick me. I am already down. Okay, I am already down for the count. I think I'm just exhausted at this point. I'm just like, I don't even know what to say other than, okay. But I get that we're like a POV of one of the robots or camera or something because we had the like error message and then we had the like hands around some of the shots. So are we kicking one of them? I don't know. I'm struggling. Oh, with the like metronome in the back. That's cool. Sir. Also, why do some of them have the like conductor? Like Hoshi has the conductor. Wow. No, that's interesting. That's okay. Noted. Oh my god. I'm sorry, I looked over at June. Joshua? I'm sorry, I looked over at June and I missed oh my god, there's too much. There's a performance version of this, isn't there? No, like before I was like this part was not the most. No, okay, Pooh being one of the most. Yeah, no, that makes sense to me. This part makes sense to me too because I was one, how, but also I was confusion. Sure, fine. I'm sorry, I had other thoughts, but they're gone now. No. Ooh, why are they stepping backwards? I know we're ending. I do. I get it. Just quick science. Dino's outfit. Okay. I'm sorry. Who gave you a shirt that was unbuttoned in a suit with like chains? Who made that decision? Who did that? I just want to breathe. I just want a second. I know that we joke within the Carrot fandom that none of us are loyal to our bias. I don't even have one bias, but this music video feels like them proving that point to us. Did anyone come out of this music video being like, I am 100% loyal to my bias? I don't think I could never. Wow. Ooh. Ooh, I love, sir, because that's the thumbnail. The eyes there. Wow. Yeah, that's what I read before. Hello? Okay. Okay, I do have several thoughts. Believe it or not. I do have thoughts somewhere in here. Okay, so it seems like we have some kind of battle between musicians' art in general versus technology, or even like conformity, right? Like the breaking out of restrictions or what is like expected, having this heavily enforced like rules or standards. I think it's interesting that we had the one shot at the end of people walking backwards in a circle, almost like maybe because we have like a metronome, which is keeping time, maybe turning back time to a point where we could fix things, because we have like, who is the real maestro? What like did not seem like a like modern piece of technology, right? Like it has like the grain of a screen on it, but doesn't seem like a, it's hurting my head like a little bit, but it felt a little bit more like older technology there. So perhaps there's more story to that. I know that we have videos for the unit stuff. So are we going to continue in that arc? I need to know why Mingyu was singled out. We had that standoff between him and Minghao, and I'm just confused about like why that happened, because we had the rest of the members being with Minghao. I just want to know if I can see, sir, no, Mingyu's there, right? Isn't that him like right here? So he's part of this. So why was he signaled out, and why did he have a different outfit that was very reminiscent of the like guards that were like arresting Hoshi at one point? It seems almost like we don't have a linear storyline in this either, because we had the clip at the beginning of with Hoshi, right? Here. And then we called back to that later. We do have like timestamps on it, which may or may not have just been like references to stuff that was coming. Like I was saying, I'm like, when did other unit stuff come out? Because that's like the date within the same year that this came out, right? Because this was April? Okay, so April. Was this the date that it dropped? I can't remember anymore. I'm like, didn't it say at the like the very beginning? Okay, so that was April 24th. So maybe that is like a reference to Spell coming out, because that was the performance unit song, and then we have like a time, so that might have been it. But like I feel like we don't have a linear storyline, because we have kind of like the infiltrators of some kind. Is that part of the hallway that we had later? I'm actually trying to do investigative work with, yeah, I'm like, isn't that the same hallway? If I cannot be like distracted, we have like what the -5? Do we have the -5 at the back here? Yeah, this is like the same hallway that Wonu is fighting in later. So interesting that we have all three of them here at this moment, and then one who's by himself fighting later. It was it the same one that we had June in? I didn't go back far enough. I'm not getting distracted by you, sir. Thank you. Yeah, A-5. So June, I think, is in the same place, right? A-5. Yeah. So there's something about the hallway. We did have Mingyu alone in these scenes, though. So is that part of it as well? Same with S-Coops, though, because he's in that almost separate space with the triangle lights on the floor, which doesn't have the red accents on it, which are like the rebellion, right? Because we do have it with Joshua. Maybe I'm thinking too much about this now, but I feel like there are a bunch of things, and perhaps when I get into the unit stuff, when we also have videos, maybe we're expanding on story some way. Maybe it's hinting at some of the stuff that's going to be in other videos or other like lore things. But I think overall what my reaction to this music video is, which is, I know that they're pretty. They don't need to try that hard. They don't need to flex that much. I have like biases in this group, maybe, just like the rest of you. Oh, wow. Okay, sure. No, I'm not ready for this comeback. I'm not ready for this era. No. I just looked at how long I've been recording, and I would like to formally apologize to anyone who has made it this far, because how much of that video was me actually having coherent, productive thoughts, and how much of that was me just being like, oh, I am too emotionally attached to this group. Wow, okay. No, that was a lot. There's a lot going on. I hope that I had some kind of particular thought. I like the overall message of it, song-wise. I think that it strangely ties in fairly well with what God of Music was talking about, which is drastically different from this sonically, visually, performance wise. But I feel like there was a strange overlap. Like there's like a light side and a dark side to this conversation, because God of Music was also about like music being banned and them having to rebel against that to bring people together through communicating through music. And now I feel like I need to go through some of the imagery of that music video and compare it to this one in terms of storyline stuff. Whereas this feels like a dark version of it, like a dystopian version of things like not working out, needing to like rebel against this oppressive system that is forcing people to not create stuff or put them into a box or like a formula, where we got like technology, so almost like algorithmic, telling people to kind of stay in that lane and what is expected of them, and them being the conductors of that rebellion of varying points. I think there's probably some other like storyline lore stuff in there, given that we have some kind of like story interlude in the middle of it and some of the kind of lining up of the shots. Like I do feel like this wasn't told linearly, so I feel like maybe I'll be able to deconstruct some of that and reorder it into more of what the story is supposed to be. Or when I get in the unit songs that are also from this, that maybe we will get some of that. I know that they all have videos, so I don't know if that is continuing it, or perhaps it's going to have some overlap, maybe not directly, but some other kind of clues to what they're trying to communicate with some of it, because I am intrigued by the storyline despite these distractions therein. Excited to see what's in this comeback, but also like very woefully unprepared. Yeah, no, I am not the strongest warrior in this case. I'm definitely gonna have to watch some other people react to this, because I know a few of my reactors that I love watching their stuff, and I'm like, oh, I know you're gonna struggle like I did. No, I know that you're gonna struggle like I did. Excited to get to see some of that, and I hope you enjoyed watching my reaction to this and listening to that along with me. You can click those plays to go to my previous reactions, or you can subscribe to me next time I post a 17 reaction. I will see you in the next video. Bye.